you. Yep. Good Friday afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our intro or information session on the AoScan. I'm super excited to be here. This is going to be a really informal session. So I'm going to go through some basics of what the AoScan does, and then I'm going to open it up for Q&A. And those who are already using the AoScan can absolutely chime in with how they're using it, some of the testimonials of what they've seen, different, but ask questions, right? That's what this is for. I'm not going to do like a slide presentation and go through all those pieces. We're just going to this is going to be really informal to answer some questions. So I'm going to pop in and share my screen really quickly. So one of the awesome things about the AoScan is that you can use this on any Wi-Fi based device. You can use this on a phone, you can use this on a computer, you can use this on a tablet. Anywhere that you can get Wi-Fi, you have this awesome software in the palm of your hand, or right there for you. This software is becoming more and more powerful literally every day. Every 10 days, they do a push out of an update of the software with new upgrades, with new things improving. Some of those things as users we see, sometimes we notice them, sometimes it's just back-end things. So it is really becoming more and more powerful literally every day. They are constantly working to add new pieces. And they listen very carefully when we ask for things. So I was actually just on a trip to the Dominican Republic with the company, and we sat and had the opportunity to pick Lauren's brain, who he is the founder of and the mastermind behind all of this. And we asked for certain things. And one of the things that he explained, so if those of you who are already using this are like, why isn't this already in there? Before they will add it into the software, they test it over and over and over and make sure that not only does it work for a little while, but that it holds, that it continues to work. So one of the big things that we asked about was energy for hydration. And hydration is one of the hardest things to master. And they thought they've had it several times, and then they tested it for however long, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work the way they want it to work. So they go back to tweaking it. So there are things like that are always in the works and always being launched, which is why there are all these constant new updates. So it's super cool. So I just wanted to give that a little bit of that piece of information. So when you have the software, this is what your main page will look like. Now, when you come in and you're brand new into the program, you will have everything here except for the homeoenergetics and the dental TMJ. Those get opened up with higher level training. But when I first started with the company, all we had was inner voice, Cephi, and Cephi was a fraction of what we have now, and a small version of Vitals. That was all that was in the software when I came in fall of 2021. And one of the things that I do want to say is that the price on this, one of the commitments that the company has made, is that the price of our software will never go up. It will never go above $149 a month. So as they've continued to add all of these things in and everything else that they're working to roll out, the price, they have guaranteed that the price will never change. They are doing everything to keep that price for us the same, which is really cool. And because what we're holding here is sold prior to it becoming a handheld device or a Wi-Fi based device like this. It was put into wellness centers around the world. It's been around for about 30 years in wellness centers around the world. And it was a $40,000 machine that did all of this. And people would go into wellness centers and they would pay a lot of money in the wellness centers. And it would take hours and hours and hours to do these scans that we can now do like that. And wellness centers paid a lot of money to have it. We're now paying $149 a month. And we actually, MindSync is new. That's been added. There are some things in Cephi that are new that have been added. The wellness centers do not have or didn't have. We have all of these things, and now the focus is building this. And so our system is just as powerful as this $40,000 machine that wellness centers were buying. And we have it in the palm of our hands, and we can do it for anybody in our lives, for ourselves, for our friends, for our loved ones, for our families, all there, all in that software. So the first thing I actually want to point out to you, there are a couple of places that are, for me, and actually when Lauren talks about them, they are the backbone. And if you're not doing anything else in the system, but you're using these, you're going to see huge shifts. That is Inner Voice and Cephi. That's why I said when it first came out as a handheld device for us, those were the two things that were immediately put in because we see big shifts and big changes just using those two things. There are a lot of other places as I go through, and there's a lot in here, and I don't want to overwhelm everybody today, but there's a lot in here. But even if you just need a quick shift, like if you run your vitals real quickly, and even if you don't ever look at it, it's going to shift your energy. But I'm going to focus on Inner Voice and Cephi's for in the beginning. So Inner Voice, what the Inner Voice does, oops, it's going to make me re-sign in. One of my kids must have signed in while I was doing this. In the Inner Voice, it scans your body. Okay, so you can either press just the microphone, which will just give you the tones. It will not give you a report, or you can click the microphone and the heart, which records your voice, and it gives you a full report. And what it does is you speak into it for 10 seconds, and I'm going to run through it. I'm going to do it for you and show you exactly what happens. You talk into it for 10 seconds. It scans using your voice. It scans between 8,000 and 10,000 different frequencies over the 12 notes of your voice. And it picks up in those frequencies what is high, what is over the top high, and what is suppressed low. So it's going to show you in the report the 3 highest things that are out of balance over the top, and the one that's suppressed the most. And then what it does with those, these are these notes. So this is the last one that I did, but I'm going to rerun it really quickly. The D sharp, the D, the E, and the G sharp, those are the notes that are where I'm out of balance. And these here, the colored ones, are the balancing frequencies that I will listen to that will bring me back into homeostasis. Now, sometimes we don't know like where it's out of balance. You'll see in the report, but honestly, it doesn't matter. Just know that it's bringing you back into balance, and you can feel it when you're listening to them. You can absolutely feel it. So I'm going to, hold on, let me unmute this part of this site. Unmute site. Okay, I keep this muted on my screen because you'll see when I show you Cephi's why I keep it muted. It sounds like a preschool orchestra. And so the Cephi's don't sound pretty. So they stay muted on my site because I'm usually running a lot of Cephi's at one time. But hold on, I'm going to stop my share really fast and reshare to make sure that I chose so that you can hear sound. Share my screen again. Share sound. Okay, so I'm going to take you through really quickly how you run a voice scan. So I always do it with the microphone and the heart. If you're doing it for somebody who will not or will be overwhelmed by the report, you can just do the microphone. It does the same thing, they just don't see the report. So I click this button here, and then it's going to count me down, and I'm going to talk for 10 seconds. You can say anything you want. You start with I am. So I am Leslie Zwick, and I'm just going to say the alphabet: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z, A, B, C, D, E. Okay. So it doesn't matter what you're saying while it's doing it. Now you can see it's going to scan you. It takes about 54 seconds to do the scan. Sometimes if your internet connection is a little wonky, it might take a little bit longer. This is a huge program, but usually on average it's about 54 seconds. And it's scanning all of those notes in my voice from that 10 seconds that I was talking. And then you're going to see the report. What comes up in just a second. So let me put stuff in the chat. Sacral Ask is saying I am important. So you can say anything, okay? It's just picking that up. But when you say I am are 2 of the most important words in any whatever language you're saying I am in, because you're declaring who you are. So you're saying this is who I am, and you're connecting to that energy. So it's definitely, if somebody doesn't say I am, it will work just the same. I mean, I've had my kids in bad moods come in and they're like, blah, 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 blah. That's all they say. And I'm like, well, you can try, but it's not going to trick it. It's still picking up your energy exactly where you are. I have worked with nonverbal clients that all they do is like whatever, like little grunts that they make, whatever, like even breath that they, any sounds that come out of them at all, that will work too. So now when it first pops up, you can see it shows my new notes out of balance and my new in-balance ones. And I can hit right here. You can play it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or continuous. And if I hit pulse cycle, you hear the frequencies first and then the music. You can change the music. There's all kinds of different musics that you can pick. And there's all kinds of different ways that the patterns of the frequencies can play. And you can pick whatever resonates most with you. all works exactly the same. If I click on report here, okay, so now I'm going to scroll down, and in this report, you can see it was just run right now. And you can run inner voice as many times a day as you want. So this beginning part talks about what the inner voice does, how it works. It's the information piece. If you've never received an inner voice recording for yourself, this is definitely reach out to whoever invited you here or whoever shared this video with you, and we'll get you an inner voice recording so you can see. And then here, it breaks down into 4. So the first 3 that it's going to show are where I'm most over the top in balance. So the first one, fear versus confident. And then the supportive note is the C, it's the orange. And it's going to show the top 3, the top 3 emotions that are buried in me somewhere that's resonating with this. So fear, guilt, life planning, conflict, right? So those emotions and knowing what's going on in my life, I can relate to those things. The potential causes are things that are out of balance. So one thing that I like to talk about, especially with potential causes and vitals, is to remember that these are energies and frequencies. So where you're going to see a lot of parasites pop in me. I know I'm working on a parasite cleanse right now, so it's going to show a lot of them. But if you see them pop up and you're like, wait, what? Sometimes it's just, we all have parasites. So I like to talk about this with parasites. We all have them. Some are alive and a problem, and some of them are just the energy of it or something that we've eaten or whatever. And if it's just the energy of it, listening to your tones will clear out that energy of it. If it's something that's really there, then we take it to another step and we can do some other things with parasite cleanses. But I always like to point this out because that's one that people jump on real fast. Vitals, same thing. Sometimes it's saying that you need more. Sometimes it's saying that you need less. And we have to dive a little bit deeper as to what it is. But again, it's an energy, right? Your body needs some of that energy. And then imbalances and suggestions. These are usually physical things, suggestions of things to do. Again, we look for patterns in these things. If something pops up once, it's usually just an energy like that's there that you're holding on to. I can usually predict certain things, the breathe cleaner air. If I'm in a place that's been really smoggy or icky, like that will pop up every time because I'm holding on to that. When I was in my trip in Punta Cana last week, we went into a restaurant that they had an issue in the kitchen with smoke, and we all walked in there and we're like, and we all walked out and we're like, we all knew as soon as we ran our scans, it was going to come up with something with breathe cleaner air because it was gross in there. We actually walked out of the restaurant and went to a different restaurant because it was so bad, right? So we knew it was going to pop up in there. So certain things you can relate and say, oh yeah, I know why that's there. But we look for patterns in them. If something's popping up regularly, okay, maybe I need to pay attention to that. Things like in hydration, and I started at the beginning talking a little bit about hydration. Hydration is one of the hardest things to fix. But if you see increased hydration in yours and you say, like me, all I ever drink is water, I don't understand. There is something else. This is a sign that in your body, there's something going on. Your body's not absorbing that water properly. So this is not a diagnostic tool, but it is a, wait, I need to pay attention to this. It's giving you the sign of where to step forward and what do I need to pay attention to in my body that could be out of balance. So it goes through the 4 notes. The second one, suppressed emotional self-expression. It's going to be the same layout, right? The emotions, vitals, potential causes, and imbalances and suggestions. Again, same thing, the third one. And then the 4th one that comes up is these are the ones that you're suppressing the most. Okay. And so when we go through this, when I work with somebody on this, we'll go through these and look and find across the board. Is this tying to one specific system in the body? Is this tying to 2 or 3, like what systems is this tying to, so that we can make some other changes as to shifting things. But simply listening to your inner voice tones, simply listening to these will make a huge, huge shift. So they have seen that 21 days of consistent using your inner voice tones, that's running them and listening to them consistently once a day, 2 to 3 times a day is even better, but once a day is equal to 10 years of talk therapy, because these tones remove some of these emotions that are popping up. If they are trapped emotions, these things, it will release that trapped emotion and let your body begin to heal. So it's a really powerful tool. And when somebody comes on new, one of the things that I always recommend to them, if they're getting the software, I actually recommend to commit to 3 months. And why do I say 3 months? Because the first month, you're going to feel energetic shifts. You're going to start feeling better emotionally, but it takes time for our bodies to actually heal, right? So when we have an issue, first we go out of balance energetically. And when we stay out of balance energetically for too long, whatever too long is, it's different for everybody in different situations. When we're out of balance energetically for too long, then we go out of balance physically. First, we then come back into balance energetically, and then our body can heal physically. So that's why I recommend 3 months of consistent use of this, because that first month, you're going to get your body back into balance energetically, and your body's just going to start that healing process. Over the course of 3 months, holy cow, do you start to notice some amazing shifts and physical changes. And I could tell you a whole lot of stories of people that I've worked with in this way. I mean, one of them, I actually have a client who came onto this and she committed to 3 months. And in the middle of her first month, she was probably 3 weeks into her first month, and she went to the chiropractor, and her chiropractor said, I don't know what you're doing differently, but your body has never held adjustments the way it's holding now. Well, why is that? It makes sense. Her energy is now in alignment. So when they adjust her, right, you need the physical piece. When they adjust her, now her body can hold those adjustments. I have a daughter who has a very rare blood disorder, and she annually has a bone marrow aspiration done to check to make sure her body creates too many red cells, white cells, and platelets. And they're looking to make sure that it's not converting from what it is now into a leukemia condition. And a year ago, May, when she had them done, my daughter is very consistent with listening to these. She doesn't ever look at her reports. She doesn't understand the reports. She doesn't care about the reports, but she listens to them because she struggles with some anxiety and some other emotional things, and it makes her feel good. So she listens to these constantly, every day, at least once a day, usually 2 or 3 times a day. And her results last May, when she got them back, they were blown away. The doctors called me and said, we don't understand these results. Her bone marrow, her cells are so healthy. Everybody has some number of unhealthy cells. That's just the way our body works. But her number was so ridiculously low that it was not normal. I mean, it was good. They were thrilled, but they're like, well, we don't understand this. She still creates too many, but they're all healthy cells. Well, I understood it because we've got her energetically in alignment and in balance. And so her body can, though it creates too many, can create healthy ones. We went back and had her another bone marrow biopsy done this February because she was having some other issues. The results came back exactly the same, that her number of irregular cells was so ridiculously low. They're like, whatever you're doing, don't stop. But that's because she's consistently using it, and her body can stay in a healthy place. So it's really powerful. And all she does consistently is she uses these consistently. I use the Cephis with her consistently, but she does this every day. And just the inner voice alone, you will have changes like that. And I could tell you tons and tons of other stories, but inner voice, that's where I always tell people, if you do nothing else, start inner voice. Okay, so I'm going to hop into Cephi next. Before I do that, does anybody have questions on inner voice? Okay, no questions. If you have questions, just unmute and just interrupt me. I'm going to go into Cephi. So Cephi stands for Subtle Energy Frequency Imprinter. So what Cephis are is we are capable of sending energy through the quantum field out into the world, targeted towards whoever we want. Now, I will tell you one thing: you don't send energy to somebody who does not ask for the energy. We don't do it without permission. But you can, and they can be anywhere. They don't have to, this is not something that you listen to. Like I said before, when you're going to hear when I play this, it sounds like a preschool band. It sounds screechy and terrible, and that's okay. The only reason why there is sound added to these is so people know that actually something is playing. If you have an energy, something that measures energy frequency, if you put it next to it, you will see it. It'll measure that. And there's actually in the AoScan official Facebook group, if you're in there, somebody just recently put in a video that they did that showed this, and it's super cool. So I highly recommend going and searching for that video if you want to see that. But Cephis, so there's several different categories of Cephis. There's the reach, frequency, affirmations, flowers, chakras, homeopathics, and then the homeoenergetics. So these all have different frequencies, lots of them that you can send. So I'm going to click on reach. So if you look at it here, so here, there's all these different ones right here that you can choose from. You can also scan your body. And so if I hit scan, it's going to scan, and it's going to tell me which of these energies I need right now. What is in most alignment with my body? Peace, calm, and tranquility. That would make sense with just knowing where I am right now, that would make sense. So I have a couple choices with this. I can either imprint it into something. I can imprint it into jewelry. I can imprint it into my rings. I can imprint it into homeopathic sugar pellets. I can imprint it into water. I can imprint it into pretty much anything. I can send it to myself as a 2-minute broadcast. I can send it to myself as a continuous broadcast, which means it'll go until I hit stop. Or I can write down that that's the one I need, and I can create a playlist that is one of the items in the playlist. So there are several categories that allow you to scan. The reach affirmations has the same thing. See, there's a whole bunch of them. And there is quantum flowers. So anybody who uses any quantum flowers, Bach remedies. So this one has a scan, and it will tell you which Bach flower remedy you need. So right now, it would be the gray spider flower. If I look at where it says this is the one out of the ones, there's a bunch of them that link to impatience. So you'll see there's a whole bunch of them, but that's the one specifically that I would need right now, right? The gray spider flower is what is in alignment with again. So with the Bach flowers, if you do it this way, it's only an imprint. You can add it to send it in the energy, and I'll show you how in a minute. Chakras, again, you can scan to see which of your chakras need. Same thing. Homeopathics is a little bit different. We have homeopathics, cell salts, nosodes, and then searching by symptoms. So if you are somebody who uses homeopathics, this is crazy powerful, because if you know your homeopathics, you can go through and you can pick which homeopathic you want, and you can either send it to somebody, send it to yourself, or you can imprint it on something. So you can make your own homeopathic remedies. I make my own homeopathic remedies all the time. I have this is my bottle of homeopathics that I'm working off of now. Has a whole bunch of things imprinted into it. It's a custom blend for some health issues that I've got going on, that I have made a custom blend, and I use these. But I have a bottle. My son has a bottle for his ADHD. My daughter has a bottle for her anxiety. Another one of my daughters has a bottle for her teenage acne, right? We create the list, and it's all imprinted in those custom homeopathics. So you can, if you know your homeopathics, you can choose it. If you know your cell salts, your nosodes, you can choose those. I am someone who knows nothing about homeopathics, right? So I love this by symptoms. So even if you were just like me, who would say to somebody, which one do I need for that, right? And order whatever they told me, I can click by symptom. And let's just say, so my son's ADHD, right? I can click here, and this is going to tell me, here are all the ones that are connected to ADHD. And now I can scan, and it will reorder, it will reorder them in the order of what my body needs in that order. So if I'm only going to pick one or two, I can pick the top ones. But if I'm going to do all of them, it doesn't matter if you reorder them. Again, I can send it as a broadcast, or I can imprint it into anything I want to imprint it in. So this, which is great, like I said, as a non-knowledgeable person of homeopathics, I love this feature because I like to use them. I just didn't know what in the world I was doing with them. And then this last section, the energy, homeoenergetics, this one you also cannot scan. This has detoxes for so many different things in this ADHD support, right? But all these different detoxes that are in here. So as you start to look at your other reports, if you see, for instance, you see a lot of parasites in your thing, there is insect detox, which would be you would use for parasite, right? You can run that for yourself. So you don't necessarily need to go take all kinds of harsh parasite things to detox yourself with parasites. I do all my parasite detox, or almost all of my parasite detox stuff, through here, using the homeopathics. So I don't have to, there are some supplements that I've taken, but I can do a lot of it energetically through here, either sending myself the energy or using imprinting it onto things. In the Cephis, one of the cool things you've seen that you can send individual things. You can also make custom playlists. So you can see I have lots and lots and lots of custom playlists for pretty much everything. And when I need a new one, I make a new one. So to create a custom playlist, click the plus sign, you name your custom playlist. I probably already have test, so we'll just do that. Okay, and then you can add in anything you want, right? So you can go through the different categories and choose what you want. There are no rules to what you can choose. It doesn't, like, Follow your gut instinct is what I always tell people, what makes sense. Sometimes I look at scans to help pick things. If something is pulling up a lot in a scan, I'll look at it. But a lot of times I go off my gut instinct. Or if you're a muscle tester, I will muscle test to see which things are going in there. The only rule that I recommend to follow is that don't do things that compete with each other. So for instance, I would not put energy and sleep well in the same playlist. Then your
Leslie,
body doesn't know what to do with it. Yeah, Amy.
when it comes to creating your list, does it have to have a certain order, or can you go through whatever you decide and just put it on your list? Does it make a difference what's the top and what's the bottom?
No. So the only way so actually I'm going to preface that. The only time it's going to depend on how you send it to yourself. Okay. So when you create your list, hold on, I'm going to go back out. I'm not going to save this list. I'm just going to go back out. Okay. So for instance, this one's the top one that pops up, yours for flying, right? So for instance, when you're running a custom playlist for yourself, when you're playing it, first of all, you can imprint this custom playlist onto things also, anything. That's where I said my homeopathics, it's not just the homeopathics from there. It's a whole bunch of different things imprinted in. If I'm going to broadcast it, if I'm going to hit it on individual where I want it to go 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 and then 5, right? And it's going to go down, then your order might matter, right? What do you want to hit your body with first? It's what you want to hit your body with first. So like energetic clearing, before I want anything else to come in, I might want to clear myself and shield myself and then have these things. That would be where I would say it might matter. I don't know that it does, but it might. Early on when I first started and we were running them that way, I don't even know if we could run simultaneous at the time. I don't remember now, but they would say, put like a love or a gratitude or a high frequency at the beginning, like sandwich it between those two things, but it was running individual. So you were starting and you were ending with those things. I run almost everything as simultaneous. So if I hit this right now, you're going to hear it's going to screech because I have my volume on. It sounds like I'm going to turn the sound back off. Now that you guys have heard what the sound sounds like, in Chrome, you just go up, right mouse click on it and click mute site, and it now will not play it will not sound like a preschool band. So if I hit simultaneous, it's sending me all these frequencies all at one time. So it doesn't matter what order you've put it in because I'm getting it all at once. So does that answer your question?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it really matters unless you know you're sending it to someone that you're going to send it individual. I have one client that sending simultaneous is too much. They're very sensitive to energy, very, very sensitive. And so I do have lists created for that person that I started and ended with certain things because I know I'm going to send it individually.
Would
But
babies be under that type of
babies, I send it all at one time.
send it all?
Yeah.
So simultaneously is what you're saying.
Yeah, babies.
Can you send more than one detox at a time to a baby though?
I would not. Detoxes, I would not have more than one detox at a time.
Okay.
And they say even for adults, I would do no more than 3 detoxes in a playlist unless you know that the person can really handle it. Like my body can handle it, but I've been doing it for a long time, so I'll send a ton of detox to myself at one time. But someone who you don't know, no more than 3 detoxes in a playlist usually, and even doing it one at a time.
So what I see here on this one, as a matter of fact, I hope I'm not taking too much time, but you say you have energy clearing and then energy shield. What goes to mind first is that, so you've got this shield and now all of a sudden you're putting all this other stuff in there. So how?
Shielding is shielding out the bad stuff. So when I energy shield, right, it's keeping out what I don't want to come in. Right. So before I get on any kind of client call, any kind of anything, anytime before I go out in public, I clear myself and I shield myself because I don't want the icky energy to come in. It allows the good energy to come in. Right. It's shielding what you don't want to come in. Well,
are there any resources to help us understand when it comes to the different items that are in here, like what's in the body system support and what's actually in these, and how we can, is that something that we need to understand, or is that not necessary?
You don't need to understand it.
Okay.
Yeah. no. I mean, there are certain things like we asked Lauren about that when we were in, and you don't necessarily need to understand it. The body system support is a mixture of frequencies put together. So, but there's one of these things though, you go in, what I always tell people, you can't break it. You can't hurt it. If you send yourself energy that your body doesn't need, it's not going to take it. So a big question I get with homeopathics, because people say with homeopathics, but do I need, a 30 or a 50 or what all the different measurements? And I like, I'm not a homeopathic person. And what Lauren actually explained to us last week, he said, it doesn't matter. With this, it's different because your body is only going to take what it needs. So if it needs the highest amount, it's going to take the highest amount. If it needs the lowest amount, it's going to take the lowest amount. So it's going to take exactly what it needs. So you don't have to worry about those dosages on homeopathics or on any of this.
When it comes to creating different lists for different ailments, coughs and things like that, whatever the case may be, and the different like ADHD and stuff like that, how do you know what homeopathics you need if you don't understand the homeopathics to begin with? Like,
that's why I go by symptom. If I have a symptom, I scan by symptom.
Right, but if you want to create your own playlist, how would you do that?
So here, let's just say, I mean, I did ADHD before. Let's say I have, some back pain, right? There's a whole bunch of them that come up. I'm then going to scan my body, and it's going to reorder the order that my body needs them in the most. I have no back pain, so it'll be interesting. So I would take, either I can do this whole list, because it's not going to hurt me to do the whole list, to send myself the whole list. There's nothing wrong with it. If I just take that and hit continue, broadcast myself the whole list, no big deal. No issue at all. But if I'm putting it into a bigger list, I might just take the top two. And
would you put them right next to each other, like one on top of the other, because you're doing it simultaneously?
Sure. If I'm putting it in a bigger list, yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. The key thing is not to overthink this. Right? Like, you can't go wrong. And you put it on and you use it for a little while. And if you're not getting the results that you want, then you tweak the list. Right? Yeah. Cool. Good questions. Who else has questions? On Sethi's, on inner voice. Okay. I'm going to show you a little bit more on under Cephi's, because there's some new things. So Cephi dots, which are not new anymore. So Cephi dots are, where are my Cephi dots? I just had them. Cephi dots are little blue dots that we can imprint and stick on. Where are my Cephi dots? I had them here. They're little. Does anybody have Cephi dots they can hold up and show on a screen? Does anybody have any handy dandy? Or I can find some. If I share, kids. I don't know what I did with them.
Did you say Cephi dots?
Yes, Cephi dots. There you go.
I'm wearing a Cephi dot. Hold on.
Yeah. Okay, Marcia's got them. Marcia's holding them
up.
Marcia's got them. Bayla, we're good. We're good.
Okay. Bye.
So Marcia's holding them up. So Cephi dots are little blue dots. They're yay big around, probably the size of a dime, that you can imprint with anything. You can imprint them with any of these lists. You can imprint them with any of these things. But Cephi dots, they have created. So if you go into the Cephi dots section, they have, these are proprietary blends of lists that they've put together for these different things. So you can imprint your Cephi dot with these things. So you can also scan your body. What does my body need right now? And we can scan, and it's going to tell me what my body most needs with the Cephi dot right now. So mood. Okay. And so it tells me what I would need the most. And it shows me the optimal places, any of the optimal places to put them on your body. You don't put them in all these places. I mean, you can, but you pick one. Pick one that makes the most sense for you right now, right? I tend to do my hand or my wrist. Those are, if I'm going to put them on, or there are some spots on your legs. They're on meridian lines. And there are a couple of places that if none of these, because some of them will pop up and you're like, I wouldn't put them in any of those places. There are some places on your body that you can always put and are always good meridian lines, which usually the hand here, the wrist here, it's left. It's usually the left. The left wrist is a good place. Or on your chest here, on your, on your heart chakra or on your solar plexus chakra. You can't see, we can't show you my solar plexus chakra sitting down. But those two places are always good places to stick them. Or if you are putting a Cepheid dot on for a specific pain, like say you have a knee pain, right? And you make a specific list and imprint it on that, you put it on your knee, right? You can put it specifically where that spot is. But these Cepheid dots are really cool. And if you're not sure what your body might need right now and you want to wear one, you just hit scan and you pick up which, and it'll come up and it'll tell you what your body needs most now. The AoTune and the multicast are brand new components that were just launched within the last few weeks in our device. And these, I am loving both of these components. The AoTune, and my daughter had my transducers, and she had them over there. I don't know what she did with them. She was playing with them. But the AoTune, if you use tuning forks, holy cow. So what they did is they put all of the tuning forks, and I have a real tuning fork here too, right? They put this is one. If you were to buy every tuning fork available, you'd spend over $2,000 to buy all the tuning forks available. The AoTune, they have put in the frequencies. Oh, Marsha's holding up hold on, I'm going to share my screen. Marsha, say something so anybody who's on, speak up, so then on the recording, say something. Unmute yourself and say something.
Okay, these are they call them the transducers.
Yep, show them. Yep, okay.
But they're not, and they're very lightweight. They come in twos, so you get two of them, and they're like a tuning fork.
Yep, cool.
They do the same thing as a tuning fork.
Yep, exactly. So what they do, hold on, I'm going to thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. I wanted you to speak because when the recording, it just only shows who's speaking. So if you were just holding them up, nobody was going to be able to see.
Right.
Anybody watching the recording would not have seen it. So in the tuning forks, right? So again, here you can scan your body. You can, if you know if you're used to tuning forks all the time and you know what you need, if you click on each one, you can manually choose which one you need, right? But again, me, who is not experienced in tuning forks, I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I like to play with them a little bit, but I don't know exactly which ones to pick. I can scan my body and it's going to pop up with the one that I need most now. So I need the gamma, right? And so we're going to turn this up. I'm going to unmute the site again so you guys can hear this. These are ones in the Cepheids that you actually want to listen to because listening to the frequencies is powerful. Now you can send these through the quantum field to people and they don't have to listen to them, but if they're listening, it's better. So again, there's four different sounds that you can choose: the sine, the square, the triangle, or the sawtooth. It tends to come up with the triangle. You can hear it, but if sine is easiest on the ears, right? So this is sending me that energy. You can just listen to them like this and it will help. It'll do it, right? The transducers, when they are used through Bluetooth, they put this sound and you can put it on that spot on your body where you're having whatever you're trying to work on. And you can run these for 30 seconds, 2 minutes, or 5 minutes. I will tell you, these are brand new. My kids are having a ball with my transducers. That's what I said. My daughter was playing with them over there a little while ago, and I think she left them sitting on the bed back there. Because my kids love them. But my son last night, he came in, actually 2 nights ago, he came into my office and he's like, my foot is killing me. I said, what'd you do? He said, I have no idea. He said, it just really hurts. And so I said, okay. So I did some stuff and I was in the middle of doing some stuff and he was like, I'm going to go to bed. He went to bed. And yesterday I was out all day with my daughter and I came home and he's like, my foot is still hurting. It hurts to stand on it. And it was a little swollen, but I was like, did you do anything? And it's like the side of his foot. And so it like in a weird place, like it was like, it wouldn't have been a twist or anything. And so I said, grab my transducers, and we turned it on and I scanned him and it popped up and he just held them on his foot. And we did 2 minutes on his foot. And then I scanned him either 3 times or 4 times. I don't remember how many because we were playing with it. But by the time we were done, he's like, my foot doesn't hurt anymore. It was totally fine. So it cleared whatever was sitting there. And these will do this. And it's so fun because you don't need to know anything again about tuning forks because there were some cool things that were just popping up. And I was like, actually, and one of them that came up was lungs, which if you look at reflexology points, where it was hurting him was exactly the lung spot on his foot. I was like, oh, that makes sense. So, it's really some cool
Can
stuff.
you repeat what you just said about the lung and the relationship? What did you say?
So there are reflexology points on the bottom of your feet and on your hands. The different points in your hands and your feet connect with the various parts of your body. So if you go and look up a foot reflexology chart, you'll see what connects to what. So the spot on his foot that hurt was connected to the spot in his lungs. So it was no surprise when under AoTune yesterday, one of them that came up was organs, lungs. And I was like, oh, that makes sense, because I looked at the reflexology chart. I did not know those things off the top of my head, but I knew enough to pull up the reflexology chart. And I was like, I wonder, when it pulled up organs, I was like, I wonder if that's what it's connected to. And sure enough, that's what it was connected to.
So you mentioned a minute ago, I'm sorry to interrupt. You mentioned
Yep.
a minute ago about listening to them and not just sending them. It's better to hear them. Is that correct?
So you can send them. I have sent them to clients through the quantum field that call me and say, I have an issue, and I'll scan them and I'll send them, and it works. But there's a piece with when you use a tuning fork, hearing and feeling that vibration. So when you're listening to it, your ears, you're feeling that vibration, because sound is a vibration. So
let's say you had the transducers at this point and it said here lungs for your son. Would you actually put those transducers on your son's lungs?
I didn't. I put it on his foot, but I could have. There's no right or wrong way. I could have had him put one on his chest and one on his foot. But honestly, my son is pretty intuitive. And so I said, put it where it makes sense. And so he put it where it made sense, and it made sense for him to keep it on his foot. So, but yes, he could have put it on his lungs, right? Absolutely. But he was listening to the sound also. So it was doing exactly what it needed to do. Using your intuition, and just, there's, again, no right or wrong way to do it, but it's super duper cool, super powerful. So like when my daughter, again, last week, my daughter had a stomach ache. It was actually before my transducers arrived, and we were just using a regular speaker. And I had him running through a speaker. The transducers I love, because they have the side bin in it, and they have a variety of other things in it, and they actually are designed to work differently, but it'll work because she was just listening to the sound and feeling the vibration of it. And we ran him and put him on our stomach, and the stomach ache was gone. They're crazy powerful like that.
Could you do that for COVID?
You can do it for anything. You scan your body, you pull up, you're the target, or whoever is the target, right? Whoever is the target, and you scan them, and then whatever their body needs is what it's gonna do. We have COVID playlists also under Cephes that have all kinds of different things, because COVID is another one that is so intricate now, and so it is attacked every aspect of the body in ways that
Totally
crazy ways. So things that I'm not necessarily going to say on a recorded Zoom. I'm not going to get into where that goes. But so COVID attacks all kinds of things. So when somebody has COVID, I would look more at their reports. If I'm targeting other Cephe lists, there might be some other things that you picked, but you hit the symptoms first: cough, fever, whatever the symptoms are that they're having. And they have frequencies in here back under the frequency. They have specifically COVID mutations, COVID virus. So those two, if somebody has COVID, those two go into.
I'm doing that. I've tried a couple of different lists, and hubby is still like coughing terribly and not
feeling so complete frequency set.
Yeah, I've got all different kinds going for him, and it's just not hitting him yet. I don't know why.
I would definitely look at. I would use the AoTune. Are you running it as multicast? Okay. Yeah, there's some other things that we can talk about and look at some of his stuff. The last piece that I want to talk about in here, though, is a multicast, now that I said that. So multicast is the newest feature in Cephe. So many of us, if you see the top of my screen, I have all these different AoScan tabs open, and that's actually only a few. Usually I have like I used to have like 30 of them open at a time, because in order to send multiple people at this, like different lists at the same time, I would have to have a different tab open. They have created multicast now where you can send up to 16 different people Cephis at the exact same time. And they not only have they done this, but they have made this much, much, much more powerful. So there's two different ways to use multicast. First one, you can click on right here where it's the person and the plus sign, and you're adding a person at a time. So you click here, you look up the subject. So I'll just, okay, can search, and I can add myself, right? So I'm now the subject. You always want to click a flower. So they have added to this the Bach flower essences. What this is doing is it's going to scan my body, or scan whoever the person is that is the target, scan them to see which flower they need, flower essence they need to break through the emotional barrier that may prevent them from receiving the energy that you're going to send. So you click on the flower. You can, if you know your flowers and you really know what you want, you can click look up, but they recommend not, because the software is going to always pick better for you. You're going to scan, and it's going to scan, and it's going to tell me what. Okay, so this is the elm is the flower that I need right now. Then you can put in any affirmation here. I'm playing with it. Lauren told us you could put as much as you want in. I put in a ton yesterday and it gave me an error, so I think I put in too much. But you can put in any affirmations here. You can put in, it can be a single word, it can be sentences, it can be paragraph form. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it doesn't work. Don't worry about grammar or spelling or any of the other things. It doesn't matter what language it's in. Because it's intention and it's energy, right? So you know
when you're looking up what type of affirmation to use for like despair.
I'm not worried about the affirmation for despair. I'm going to put in the affirmations of what I want.
So it's not related, is what you're saying?
No.
I thought for some reason the reason why they were there was to.
Nope. This, don't worry about this. This is just going to break. This is the energy of this flower that you need to break through this.
Got it.
Okay, whatever you want. I actually have a list of them written out that I've come up with affirmations that I usually copy and paste into here. But you can put whatever you want. Okay, and it's going to also pick up the note. Remember the notes in the inner voice. These are the notes. This is the note that's going to be your carrier note that's going to take it through. Okay, so then you can select your playlists. Okay, so all of those playlists that I showed you that I have, they all show up here. Okay, so I can pick whatever playlist I want. You can send as many playlists as you want. Know who you're sending it to, how much energy they can handle. And mine that I stopped it right before we came in here, but I had 13 lists playing to myself at one time because I can handle it. I would not send 13 lists to some people all at once. But okay, so let's just say I want some connection to myself, and maybe I want some abundance, that abundance list, and maybe I want some focus and motivation, right? Okay, so now have 3 playlists linked to me. Okay. Now I can go and let's just say, Amy, since you're up when we're talking, and I know you're in my system. Okay, so now let's say, Amy, I want you in there, and I'm going to search you and get your flower. Okay, so there's your, and I'm just for time's sake, I'm just going to copy and paste the same affirmations, but I would put whatever affirmations in for you, right?
Right.
And then I'm going to select your playlist, and let's just say we want some of this, and we want some of this, and we want some of this, right? Okay, so now you've those 3 playlists that are going to come to you. Now, and I can go and you can add up to 16 people in this list at one time. Now I have the choice. I can do 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. When they are done with this, you don't need a crazy long amount of time with these. It is super duper duper powerful because you have the affirmations that you're getting the frequency of that affirmation coming to you. You have the frequency of the note that you need coming to you, and you have the frequency of the flower that's breaking through. It's all so it does not take a lot. People are seeing responses like they're seeing those shifts really fast.
So what you're almost saying is, will this almost replace doing the sending Cephis, like sending like what I'm sending my husband right now?
I would always send through this now as multicast. You can do it the other way. You can do it either way. You can do it as the other way. But this depends. So actually, here's what I'm going to backtrack. My sleep list, if I'm going to let it run all night, I do it the old way. I do it just as a sleep list. Because this way, if I'm going to run it just for an hour or just for a little bit before I go to bed and turn it off, then I do it this way. I made that mistake when this first launched. I turned on multicast like this with sleep. And the next morning, because it was still playing, it was a lot more powerful. I was dragging my butt out of bed and I was like, why am I so groggy? And I was like, oh, my list is still playing.
But you have the ability, the last one over, isn't that the ability to keep it constantly going?
So this is not constant. It would do me and then you. It wouldn't do us at the same time. To do constant, you hit the note. Oh, I still have my sound on, sorry. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Where'd I go? Hold on. Sorry, I just hit the wrong one. Where was I? Okay. I hit the note. I was going to mute this site. That's what I was going to do. That's why I hit the wrong one. Mute site. Okay. Okay. So if I hit this is going to continue to play until I stop it. If I hit
so then you could do that with sleep also then.
I don't want to do that with sleep. This was too powerful with sleep. It kept me asleep. It kept me groggy. Where when I run it the other way, it's not as it's there, but I was able to wake up in the morning. So I would run this if I hit it as 5 minutes, right? If I hit play, this is going to send this to both you and me right now for 5 minutes, and in 5 minutes it's going to stop. Okay. If I were to, I can stop it. If I were to do this, it's going to send it to me for 5 minutes, and then it's going to send to you for 5 minutes. I never do it that way. I always send it to everybody. So I can add up to 16 people this way. Okay.
Got it.
If I go back to multicast back this way, hold on. Effie.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So let's say, for example, with both of my parents, they have me running different Cephis for them.
I'm going to show you. Hold on.
But because of the fact that if I add them through that and now through multicast, and now it's continuously playing, it's going to continuously play exactly like Cephis did until I stop it.
Correct.
Okay. And is there a time limit on, like, do you think that after maybe a day that you should turn it off and reset it?
I would not let them go for a day. On multicast, I would not let them go for a day. We are finding, when we ran Cephi groups, we were finding 2 hours was the sweet spot. We're finding it is much shorter. And the energy is lasting a lot longer. So I would play with the amount of time. And
what if you go back and forth and you say, like, okay, for example, since Shabbat is tomorrow, I'm not going to be able to change anything. I play multicast today for an hour or two, and then I change it back to Cephi and just let it run through Shabbat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
For sure. So let me show one other thing really quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. And then because this is, so this was the one way to add people in where they're individual. If you've got people that you're sending to all the time, like the list is going to stay the same, you click on this one and you're going to have client groups. So right, here's my family. I'm here. My daughter's here. My son is here. My other daughter is here. My mom is here. My husband is here, right? They hold this. I still have to go through and select the flower and put in the affirmations, but these lists stay the same. So you don't have to keep going in the other way. So anytime you're going to create a list like this, that it's going to be people doing over and over, like the same people over and over and over, you can create this list that holds on to. And up at the top here, and we didn't go through any of this stuff here, if you create manage client groups, this is where you're going to add your group. This is where you're going to create a group. Click the plus sign and you create a group. Now, Marsha, what were you going to ask? Because I just wanted to show that really fast before I forgot.
Well, when you're making a Cephi for something like when I hurt my arm, I made a specific Cephi group for that. I don't understand how that would work in multicast.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Like I put something in for pain and for health and immune support.
So, okay. So here I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to pull myself. I'm going to scan myself, right? If I knew I was sending it specifically about the pain in my arm, okay, you know, my arm is pain-free. My arm is healing quickly. And by the way, these affirmations do not have to relate to each other. I could put that in there and then I could go on and say something else like, my world is full of abundance. Like they don't have to necessarily, because you're getting the energy of these sentences. But let's just say that. And then your playlist, I don't have an arm playlist in here, but let's just pretend I do. Right? Ankle. Let's say it was my ankle, right? I would click the ankle playlist, back pain playlist, whatever it is, right?
Right.
And that's what I'm sending to myself through the multicast.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? So you can do it the way you did it before. That the old way is not invalid. It is incredibly powerful. This is adding the power of that flower and the power of those affirmations with it. Kalila, back to your question, also letting these run really long. You saw I ran before and then I scanned again and my flower changed. Yep. Flowers are going to change. So even when I'm running for people, I will stop it, go out, and rescan because there's a new flower that's gonna resonate with them. Because when they run that, it's shifting that energy already, and then they're ready for a new energy. Does that make sense? Okay.
Totally. Thank you.
Yep. I'm gonna stop my share really quickly and open up. What other questions does anybody have? Or is there anything specific? I know, Julie, you were responding to Anne about vitals. Do you want me to show vitals really quickly? I can show vitals.
Oh, I was just saying that I didn't know what exactly we were going over. I thought we were going to show the other programs stuff.
I can show the other programs. I can show whatever you want me to show. Those two, I like to start with those two because those hit everything. If you know nothing about anything else, those hit everything. Those are the cornerstone key pieces that inner voice is actually really doing a vitals. It doesn't show in your vitals report, but it's actually doing and reading all of your vitals. So that's the place. That's why I like to start with that, because as we start to dive in, each of those notes, and it's too much to get into in a Zoom here, but each of those notes correspond to different parts of the body. So when we start to look at it and say, oh, I'm seeing this, these keep coming up and this resonates with gut, or this keeps coming up and this resonates with the endocrine system, right? It starts to give us that picture in a simpler way. But I'm going to pop through really quickly and I'll go through the other sections really quickly.
Yeah, so, just because I was showing with the parasites and all the things that it scans
no, that's
for,
great.
so I want to show.
So vitals. So we can do in the vital scan a complete vital scan. So this shows, I'm not gonna take the time to scan my vitals right now. So you'll just see my report from yesterday. But you can just select certain things. So sometimes I will just do like my food, my chakra, right? I might just do a few of them. But you can look at them either in enhanced reports, and if somebody ever is emailed a report, it's going to come up as the enhanced reports with the 1 through 5. But I actually like looking at it in the classic view, which is the reds and the greens. When I first started with this, there was no enhanced reports. It was only reds and greens. And reds and greens are really the easiest way to look at things. So what you're seeing here, previous scan, is whenever, actually, let me back out of this for a second. Whenever you scan yourself in vitals, you see at the top it says scan, and then at the bottom it says optimize frequencies. You always want to first scan and then optimize, okay? So, and if you don't, like say I scan myself and optimize, and later in the day I come back and just go to optimize, it's optimizing off of the last piece. So we always want to rescan, get a new place of where we're at, and then optimize. And this full thing takes about a minute and a half or so, maybe 2 minutes, a minute and a half. So here's classic view. So this previous scan, when you hit scan, this is going to be your previous scan. When you hit optimize, this is going to be your current scan is what happens after you optimize. So you can see in previous scan, certain things that were red that were out of balance for me. And then when I optimized, it brought them back into balance. Okay. So my dairies, where I had a bunch of things dairy out of balance, and then it came back into balance. A key thing to look at this for is not just, is this in balance right now, but when I come back and scan myself tomorrow, did these things that were out of balance, did they stay in balance or did they pop back out of balance again? Okay, because that's, again, when we look at vitals, one thing that's really important, and I could teach an entire, multi-day class on learning and reading these reports. We look for trends and we're looking for patterns. So a one-off is good, but a one-off doesn't really mean anything. It means where you are right now, but it's just an energy. So it's as we balance it out, does that energy stay that way or is it pulling back out? And are we seeing patterns and are we seeing things? Especially in food sensitivities, when you start to look at them and dive in and say, okay, what are similarities about these foods? Are they oxalates? Are they histamine foods? Are they, do you have a lot of dairy things? Are they moldy foods? What are they? To piece together to make shifts and balance that out overall. Because if you just attack one thing, then it may be, you may not be attacking the right place. Also, sometimes red does not always mean avoid. Sometimes red means you need more of that, right? So depends. You have to look at the bigger picture of all of this, but just scanning and optimizing your body with this, even if you never look at this report, balances things out. It moves that energy. So I have one client who gets freaked out by these reports. Like they send her into an anxiety attack. But what I've said to her is I said, just scan, optimize, don't even open the report. It doesn't matter because it's bringing your body back into balance. It is consistently scanning and optimizing and balancing out that energy. If you only have 2 minutes in your day and you're not going to have time or make time to listen to inner voice, scan and optimize your body and don't even look at the report. You're going to get tremendous benefits. And if you're just consistent with doing that, your body's going to begin to heal. So this goes through though, and it shows the food sensitivities. And when I work with people on food stuff, we go through and I look at 3 or 4 days worth of these scans and look at the patterns, right? To see what is popping in and out. And that's how I help somebody come up with a new food plan. My daughter is, because of this, because of what we did, is off of dairy and off of gluten for 30 days to see then once we cleared those things up, because we saw the patterns over the course of a week of things that were going on. And then we pulled her off, and then we'll rescan and look at the scans again for a series of days at the end of those 30 days. Gluten takes 30 days to get out of your system to see what's healed, to see what's begun to heal, and then we'll start to introduce things back in. Right. So, so you can look at, so these go through all the different foods.
I have a question.
Yes.
If I just optimize and scan in vitals or body systems, will it have an impact if I don't listen to a new set of tones?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Because you have that frequency when you're scanning and optimizing, your energy right then, for sure.
Okay. Cool.
For sure.
I do that more then.
Yeah. When somebody is sick, Amy, when you're talking about your husband, if I were you, I would be scanning and optimizing him multiple times throughout the day.
And will an easy scan do the same thing? If I'm doing an easy scan every day?
Yeah, it's scanning and optimizing.
Optimizing at least once a day, right?
Mm-hmm. I only do easy scan once a day. Some people do easy scan twice a day. I do easy scan once a day.
Okay, it's doing the optimizing thing.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So we're still in foods. Okay, so then we get into where it's talking about blood, your blood work, right? Again, this is not a diagnostic tool. I like to emphasize this. This is something that's giving you a sign as to energetically, where are you? If you see, especially if you're looking in your blood stuff, patterns over and over and over, then that's a sign of, hey, maybe I should go get some blood work done, right? I always scan and optimize my daughter. I always know before we go in to get her blood work done, because I've been watching trends and I'm like, yep, this is stayed out of balance. My guess is it's turning physical, right? And so we can see that. And so again, looking at trends. I know, Julie, you were talking, so chakras and meridians tell a lot about a person. So I will do throughout the day, I will scan just my chakras and meridians, and just bringing those back in balance. And there was a video a couple of weeks ago that Solex did. It was a two weeks, every Wednesday night they do trainings. A couple of weeks ago, they did a 2-part series on chakras and meridians. If you have not watched that one, that's a great one for those of you who this is further out listening to the recording. If you go to YouTube, Solex LLC, their YouTube channel, and search for chakras and meridians, Deb Bruce did an amazing job on talking about that. There is some phenomenal training and phenomenal information that they have on there. And if you go to slowluxglobal.com, that is their blog, and they put all kinds of amazing information in there. So if you're looking to dig in and get some more information on some of this stuff, those are two great resources. Hold on, this is all about my meridians. Okay, so here it gets into like, inflammation digestive function, inflammation markers, digestive function. I know for me, my gut is all out of balance. That doesn't surprise me, right? Inflammation, I've been doing some things this week to lower my inflammation, and it used to be this was all red. Making a handful of changes over the last week, physical changes over the last week, and scanning and optimizing myself consistently has now balanced this back out. Insulin resistance, that same thing. My gut is still a mess. And I can see that, right? Digestive stuff, right? All gut stuff. And if we were to have dug into my inner voice report, you would have seen it was all gut stuff. And the parasites are part of that, right? I'm going to get down to, because I know that's one of the ones you were talking about. Sorry, Zoom and this, they're both bandwidth hogs. Endocrine, health, hormones, right? Immune system, kidney. You have in your hand, the palm of your hand with this, you have every you have all kinds of information that then you can take and use in other places. Skin, thyroid, allergies, right? Toxicities, right? Look at all the red, right? That makes sense. It's springtime here, all the stuff is coming out. So some of these things, though, I would look at this and I would probably run a bacteria detox based off of this, right? But I wouldn't necessarily off of this one, but I would look at the pattern. These are all red. It balanced it out. If I come back today and scan it again and see that they all went back to red again, I probably need a bacteria detox. And I would run the bacteria detox Cephi and see if that fixes it. Some of this, it might have fixed it. Same fungus, right? There's fungal detox, same thing. Human toxins, right? Heavy metals, right? There's a heavy metal detox again, same thing. Look at all these that were red and they balanced out. I would watch it over a day or two and see, wait, did these go back to red? If they do, I'm going to run a heavy metal detox. Molds, right? I live in Florida. No surprise. There's mold all over the place, right? It's out of balance. Do they stay out of balance or do I need to run a mold detox? Parasites, I told you guys already. I know I've been working on parasite stuff, right? This is going to show all these. It's going to show, okay, these stayed out. These couldn't balance out. Several of these couldn't balance out. Okay, so I'm going to be doing some parasite stuff. This is going to give me that sign. Got a lot of parasite stuff going on. And this is going to show up in a variety of places. Viruses, same thing. There's a virus detox, right? Again, I'm looking for whether it stays in balance or pops back out of balance. I can look, if I went to the enhanced view where it gave the numbers, I could also see how clearly, how much it jumped over. Like this one could be right borderline green and it didn't take much to shift it, or it could have had a big shift. But I really don't care. A lot of the times I just look at the red and green. So that's where I go with the vitals. But literally, as I was just saying to Bela, just scanning and optimizing is going to, over a series of days, is going to help your body start to balance that. If someone is sick, I highly recommend just scan and optimize throughout the day. Several components can scan and optimize. So that's the vitals. So the easy scan does inner voice, vitals, scans and optimizes you, and does, based off of your vitals and your inner voice, it does a partial comprehensive. It pulls it pulls from what was out of balance in your inner voice and what was out of balance in your vital. It then does a partial comprehensive and breaks it down even more. So I did not do an easy scan yesterday, and this morning I did it yesterday. But when you do it, if I were to hit start scan, it will, because I'm middle of the day, it's going to also, I have my supplements put in here, and supplements and therapies is a whole nother category. We're already in an hour and 12 minutes. So there's only so much I'm going to go through now in doing these, but you can put all of your supplements and therapies in. And when it scans your body, it tells you actually which supplements you actually need. So right now it's midday. So if I were to do an easy scan right now, it would tell me which supplements out of my midday supplements it needs, out of the things that I've categorized as general. I can put any of these, click any of these and have it tell me which of those things I need as well. And when you do it as part of an easy scan, it's going to tell you the top 6 that you need. 99% of the time when I do it, I'll show you my report from the last time I did it. It shows me that I don't actually need the bottles of, it shows me my inner voice. So this is actually going to be my most recent inner voice because it updates that. It shows me these were the top supplements that I needed the last time I ran this. 3 of them were homeopathics, and I can imprint them right from here. Okay, so many mornings when I run this, all 6 of these are homeopathic, so I don't even have to take any other supplements. It's all the homeopathics. Sometimes when I run middle of the day, then my body needs some of the other supplements. It gives me the vitals report. And if I were to run my vitals right now, it would update this with these vitals. And then it gives me, this is still vitals. And then after all the vitals, and all it shows, so I want to tell you, if you run an easy scan, all the easy scan shows is where you're out of balance. You guys just saw there's a lot of green in my thing. All it's going to show is the red, out of balance. So I've had people who have called me and they're like, oh my God, I'm dying. It's all red. It's only going to show you where you're out of balance. If you click the vitals button, it's going to show you where you're in balance. The easy scan is targeting you in and giving you a quick view of what is most out of balance right now. So don't freak out if it's showing you, oh my gosh, I'm dying. Because I've gotten those calls more than once. And it goes into the comprehensive and it picks the top few things that were out of balance in that. And again, it's going to show you only the things where you're actually like either ones, nines. It's not going to show you everything else. So this had only pulled 2 with that. If I were to go into comprehensive, oops, I didn't mean to stop share. If I were to go into comprehensive, it would then show me everything it ran and it would show me where I'm also in balance. But in the easy scan, it's just showing me those out of balance places. Body systems, which Bela also made reference to. I happen to love the body systems. This is one of my favorites. This will scan, if you click the scan and optimize, it's going to scan and optimize you all at one time. So if you're doing a quick scan and optimize, this is the place to do it. You can select all of your body systems. It was 13 and they added hormones to the 14. You can select them all. You can select just what you want. So sometimes I will look at my reports and say, ooh, let's say my lymphatic is showing up a lot. My digestive is showing up a lot, and maybe I get circulatory a lot. Okay, so maybe those are the 3 that are showing up a whole lot. I may only run those so that I can look at just that report, just those things, okay? Or my hormones are out of balance too, right? Whatever it is, and just look at those things. I'm gonna show you the report so the last one I did, I think, was a complete one. This, in the body systems report, so it was a couple days ago that I did it. It was, again, it shows you circulatory, what is out of balance, vitals, again, causes. Again, these are energetic, right? Remember, first of all, COVID shows up all over the place because we're all, this is their shedding. There's all kinds of stuff. Don't diagnose yourself off of it. Emotions, and then ways to improve. And they've actually now added in your supplements will show up in here. That's something that you need to take for that. Right. So I work with clients all the time with this, releasing some of these emotions, but simply by running this will, again, just like inner voice, will release some of these things. So it goes through each of the categories and it shows those things. Again, we look for patterns and things that are, patterns and things that are showing up over and over and over again. If you see something that comes up a lot, then it's like, okay, let me take this into consideration. For instance, if Amy, if you were to scan your husband and he has COVID, I would expect COVID to come up in multiple different categories because it attacks multiple systems, right? If something shows up in one system, I don't usually, depending on what it is, sometimes, and I have no symptoms of it. Okay, it's just an energy, it's just a frequency. I picked it up. If I see something over and over and over again, okay, I'm going to say, what do I need to do to move some of this? But I was working with a client the other day who we were doing an energy clearing session and he was feeling it all in his gut. So I did a body systems on him while we were on, and I just did digestive system and I got those emotions that were listed, and he and I went through and it was a target, and we could clear those emotions right then and there as part of the thing. It gave me a honed in targeted place. If you do not have, a background in clearing emotions and clearing things, literally you can just look at them and say, I choose to release, and list them off and let them go, right? Like clear them. It's as simple as that, because this is already scanned and optimized you, and it's brought it to the surface, and it's like, okay, I don't want to hold on to this anymore. So you can use that piece. The comprehensive is literally as comprehensive. It can do your entire, you can do your entire body if you want. When you do the easy scan, it just does, like I said, it just does the things that's honed in off of those other things. You guys, anybody who has not done the higher level training will not have the database. I'm not even going to go into the database right now, but it's super awesome. But this will show those reports. So you saw before, this is my comprehensive based off of what you saw in there. So you saw they just picked out a few things that were reds. I got plenty of greens in here, but this will give you a better picture of what's really going on. And you can do an image report or you can do a table report. And one of the things that I will tell you that I look at, percent from ideal, we want that previous scan, we want that to get better, right? And so we can start to look into those numbers. Right. And so if you see something really crazy high, then that's when you say, ooh, what's going on here? The 30, the 27, like those aren't crazy high. But if we're sitting like 50, 60, 70% from ideal on that whole section, then you want to say what's going on. And that might be where you need to go get some other, step in and do some other things. Okay. I've given you guys a lot. I feel like it's been information overload. Anybody have any other last thoughts, questions, comments?
I had one more quick question on multicast.
Yeah.
Can you create a list off of things like your pets? Like I have under me, my pets are listed, and I'm doing a flea detox right now. But can I create a list for them in the multicast to give them like 5 minutes of high energy?
So yes, that pets are going to come into that section right now. Pets have not been, you add your pets as if they're humans. You create a profile for them as a human, and then you send it to them that way.
Okay, so no longer like when you go under your thing and it's under the.
So you can do it both ways, but if you're going to use multicast with them, create them as a human.
Okay.
Yeah. We were actually, when we were in Punta Cana, somebody was talking about how they use this on their chickens, because right now in pets, it's dogs, cats, and horses, and their chickens are all listed as humans in their, they've named them and whatever, and they're all listed as humans. I know you're laughing because you have chickens, but they're all listed as humans. So it's coming. That's the one thing that Lauren said to us over and over and over. Everything that we asked about, he's like, it's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming. Be a day discovery in September, but it's coming. So they are like pumping out as fast as they can, but they don't put out anything that they don't know works exactly the way they want it to, because they had put some stuff into vitals at one point, and then and it worked for a while, and all of a sudden people weren't getting the results that they had wanted. And then they had to pull it back out, and they're like, we're not doing that again. We're not putting things back in, so then pull it back out. So they test and test and test and test and test and test until it's perfected the way they want it, and then they'll put it in. So there's a lot of things that it's coming. A lot of cool new products that are coming. I don't know if you've ever heard of an Aura ring, but Solex will eventually have their own version of the Aura ring that's going to tie to our software, which I'm really excited about. When they said that, I'm like, come faster. Right. They have coming in sometime soon. They had announced it last year at Data Discovery, and they were hoping to have it for virtual Data Discovery this time. And it's still in test. There's still some tweaks need to be made with it, it's called the Hub. And that you will need to use, it's going to be too powerful to use on a mobile device. You're going to have to use a computer for it. But basically, at that point, when the Hub comes out, we will have the complete everything, because it connects to body parts. It does other things, like anybody that's going to, it's going to be crazy. And I'm like, but it's this close, but there's still final things they have to tweak. I know clearly you tried out the rain, right? And it was shocking, they're figuring out why it's the ionic rain, which they showed that at Data Discovery last, and they were hoping to have that ready for this one, but it's still shocking people. So Data Discovery in September. My voice out here, there's going to be a lot of things coming. They're not waiting till Data Discovery to release things. They are releasing as they come, but it's going to be huge. And if you can get yourself to Utah for Data Discovery in September, I highly recommend it. I will be there. I'm waiting for my 30% off coupon, my next 30% off coupon to come to buy my ticket. But I will be there. It will be like, that's what Lauren said over and over and over and over again. Everything that we asked was be a day of discovery, be a day of discovery, because there are certain things that he couldn't say because it couldn't be announced, but he's like, be a day of discovery. So that's my little plug for day of discovery in September. But any other questions about using software and things coming down the pipeline?
Can I ask a question about actually the D3K2 real quick?
Sure.
The real quick question. I saw somebody actually spray it into a cup with blue and then drink it. Have you ever seen anybody do that before?
Yeah, because it masks the taste of the blue. They're actually on the leadership call yesterday, somebody was talking about that because they were talking about the different supplements, and somebody said, yeah, they mix their think, they mix their blue, they mix their pulse, and they mix their DK3 too, all in one, and just gulp it. I just spray them all. They're all sitting here. Everything, whatever pulse.
It's interesting because I know I don't want to take up too much more time, but sometimes when I scan myself, it doesn't show that I need blue, and it doesn't show that I need these things. Does that mean I shouldn't be doing them, or should I still be doing them even though it shows that I don't need them?
So it depends on you, right? So there are certain things I only take when it shows. There are certain things, knowing what I'm trying to heal in my body, I know that I need it every day, even if it's saying like I've been told, like, and through muscle that, I mean, I'm working with some people. So safe bet is if it doesn't show up in your scanner, don't use it. I know sometimes, like my blue doesn't show up first thing in the morning, usually, almost ever. But when I rescan myself an hour later, after I've eaten, after my body's gotten moving, after I've done a variety of things, then it always shows up. So it may be that you don't need it in that moment because your body's still doing whatever it's doing. But it always, every day, my blue and my pulse show up. It's just a matter of whether it shows up in my early morning scan. So I scan myself, the easy scan in the morning that shows what I need. And 99% of the time, those top 6 things that come up in that easy scan are homeopathics. Just the way my body is operating, that's what I need first thing in the morning. Once I've eaten something and like done whatever I do, and I come back and I scan myself just for supplements an hour later, that's when my blue shows up. That's when my pulse shows up. That's when other things show up.
It's very interesting. It shows up for many, many days, and then all of a sudden it stops.
Your body doesn't need it right then.
And then it goes into, again, it's very interesting the way the pattern has been.
Yep. And that's how your body doesn't need everything every day. Right. But there are certain things, like there are certain supplements that we have my daughter on, that we're working with Becky Coots-Kimberly to help her. For those of you who may or may not know Becky, but she is very knowledgeable in all of this. And there are certain things that popped up, and she said, I want her on this, and this supplement. And I said, what if the scanner doesn't show it? She said, no, these are things that for the next 30 days, regardless of what, she's like, regardless of whether the scanner shows it or not, they're not going to hurt her to take it, and make sure she's taking it daily. Okay. Her vitamin D is so crazy low. And for those of you who have not had your vitamin D checked, if your vitamin D levels, or if you have had it checked, if your vitamin D levels are below 30, that is a sign of leaky gut. You're welcome, Julie. And so her vitamin D levels are so low that even if vitamin D doesn't show up in her scans, she's like, she needs to be taking the vitamin D every day. So knowing your own, where you are based off of your medical stuff, is important as well to making some decisions. So cool. This was great. I know people have to go off. We've been on for a long time. Yeah, this has been recorded, and keep asking the questions. Okay. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much.
This was great.
You're welcome. My pleasure.